Welcome to Mythic Mundi. History is filled with stories of kings and conquerors born into power. But rarely does history witness a story like this. A story that doesn't begin in a palace, but in a dirt-floored hut during a time of famine. A story of a boy who would lose everything, become a beggar, then a monk, then a rebel, and finally, the founder of one of the world's most powerful dynasties. This is not just a story of survival, it's a story of absolute transformation. This is the story of Zhu Yuanzhang, the peasant who became the Hongwu Emperor and the founder of the brilliant Ming Dynasty. In the middle of the 14th century, China was a land in chaos. The Yuan Dynasty, established by the Mongol conquerors, was crumbling. Its grip on the vast empire was weakened by internal conflicts, corruption, and a series of devastating natural disasters. The Yellow River, known as China's sorrow, had flooded catastrophically, displacing millions. Famine stalked the land, followed by a terrifying plague. It was into this desperate world in 1328 that a boy was born in a poor village in Anhui province. His name was Zhu Yuanzhang, a name that simply means double eight, reflecting the combined age of his parents. His family were tenant farmers, living a life of crushing poverty, working land they would never own, and perpetually in debt to landlords. For the young Zhu Yuanzhang, life was a daily struggle for the most basic necessity: food. He was one of 7 children, and the family's existence was fragile, entirely dependent on the harvest. Then, when he was just 16, the fragile world he knew shattered completely. A severe drought withered the crops, and the plague that had been sweeping across the land arrived at his home. In a horrifyingly short period, the pestilence claimed his father, his mother, and his eldest brother. He was left orphaned, destitute, and responsible for burying his family. He and his remaining brother had no money and no land, not even enough to properly lay their parents to rest. A neighbor had to offer them a small plot of land for a makeshift burial. With no home and no family left, Zhu Yuanzhang had only one path to survival, a path taken by many of the poor and desperate: the monastery. He sought refuge at the Hongwu Temple, a local Buddhist monastery. He became a novice monk, shaving his head and learning to read and write, not out of spiritual devotion, but simply to receive a daily bowl of rice. However, the monastery itself was not immune to the widespread famine. It soon ran out of funds and could no longer support its monks. So, at age 17, Zhu was forced back out into the world. For the next several years, he wandered the countryside as a mendicant, a begging monk. This period was perhaps the most important of his life. As he walked from village to village, begging for alms, he saw the full extent of the empire's decay. He saw the suffering of the common people, the arrogance of the Mongol rulers, and the injustice of a system that allowed millions to starve while the rich hoarded grain. He learned about the land, he learned about people, and a deep, simmering resentment began to build within him. During his travels, he also heard whispers of rebellion. A new movement was rising, fueled by the widespread misery. They were known as the Red Turbans. The Red Turbans were a complex group, part religious movement, linked to the White Lotus Society, which prophesied the coming of a new Buddha to save the world, and part peasant revolt. Their goal was simple: overthrow the Mongol Yuan Dynasty and restore Han Chinese rule. In 1352, when Zhu was 24, he returned to his old monastery. But it too was touched by the growing conflict. The Yuan army, cracking down on any potential dissent, destroyed the temple. Once again, Zhu had lost his only home. He was left with no refuge and no future. His childhood friend sent him a letter inviting him to join the local Red Turban rebels. The choice was clear: face starvation and persecution alone, or join the fight. Zhu Yuanzhang, as he now restyled himself, made his choice. The beggar monk, forged in famine and loss, walked into the rebel camp. He was no longer a victim of his time, he was about to become its master. When Zhu Yuanzhang joined the Red Turban Army, he was just another anonymous soldier among thousands. But he was not destined to remain one for long. The qualities that had allowed him to survive his brutal youth, his sharp intelligence, his natural charisma, and his unyielding determination made him stand out. He was physically strong, but more importantly, he was a natural leader. He quickly gained the attention of the local rebel commander, Guo Xinsheng. Guo saw something in this intense young man. He saw a mind that could think beyond simple raids and plunder. Zhu was promoted quickly, rising from foot soldier to officer. His bond with Guo was solidified when the commander gave Zhu his adopted daughter, Lady Ma, in marriage. Lady Ma would become his lifelong partner, his most trusted advisor, and a future empress known for her compassion and wisdom. While other rebel leaders were focused on short-term gains, burning and looting, Zhu was playing a different game. He began to form his own unit, recruiting men who were loyal to him personally. He instilled a strict code of discipline. His troops were forbidden from harming civilians or stealing their property. This was a revolutionary act in an era of bandit armies. By protecting the common people, Zhu won their hearts and, more importantly, their support. Villagers didn't fear his army, they welcomed it as a force of order and justice. After Guo Xinsheng's passing, Zhu Yuanzhang took full command of his faction. It was now that his true strategic genius emerged. He developed a clear, patient, 9-word strategy. Build high walls, store abundant grain, and delay claiming the throne. Let's break that down. Build high walls meant securing a defensible base. Store abundant grain meant building a stable economy to feed his army and his people, making him self-sufficient. And delay claiming the throne was the masterstroke. He let other more impulsive rebel leaders declare themselves kings and emperors, making them the primary targets of the Yuan dynasty and of each other. He, meanwhile, built his real power in the background. In 1356, he captured the strategic city of Nanjing. This was the perfect base, a major city on the Yangtze River, easily defended and with a rich agricultural heartland. He made it his capital. From here he attracted educated men, Confucian scholars who had been cast aside by the Mongols. They taught him history, governance and philosophy. The beggar monk was now being trained to be an emperor. But his path was not clear. China was now fractured into 3 main power blocks. In the north, the Yuan dynasty still held the imperial capital. In the south, Zhu controlled Nanjing. And to his west, upriver on the Yangtze, was his greatest rival, Chen Yuliang. Chen Yuliang was a powerful and ruthless warlord who had also declared himself emperor of the Han dynasty. He commanded a massive fleet and a huge army. In 1363, the two rivals met for a final, decisive confrontation, the Battle of Poyang. This was one of the largest naval battles in all of history. Chen Yuliang's fleet was enormous, his tower ships casting imposing shadows over the water. Zhu's forces were smaller. For 3 days, the battle raged. Zhu's forces used fire ships, a classic tactic, to turn Chen's massive fleet into a floating inferno. It was a desperate, brilliant victory. Chen Yuliang was killed, and his entire fleet was destroyed or captured. With this single victory, Zhu Yuanzhang had eliminated his most dangerous rival and secured control over the entire resource-rich Yangtze Valley. His path to the throne was now open. He was no longer just a rebel, he was the most powerful man in China. After the victory at Lake Poyang, Zhu Yuanzhang was the undisputed master of southern China. He had methodically defeated his other rivals and consolidated his territory. Now, only one obstacle remained: the Yuan dynasty in the north. In 1368, he sent his brilliant general, Shu Da, to lead a massive army north to the Yuan capital, Dadu, modern-day Beijing. The campaign was remarkably swift. The Mongol court, decadent and fractured, offered little resistance. The last Yuan emperor fled north into the steppes of Mongolia, abandoning the city.
The mandate of heaven had clearly passed. On the first day of the Chinese New Year in 1368, in his capital of Nanjing, Zhu Yuanzhang stood before his court and proclaimed the founding of a new dynasty. He did not name it after his home village, as was tradition. Instead, he chose a name that symbolized the new era he envisioned, an era of light after a century of darkness. He called it the Ming Dynasty, meaning brilliant. He, the man once known as Double Eight, the beggar and monk, declared himself emperor. He took the reign title Hongwu, meaning vastly martial. The Hongwu Emperor was born. His first priority was rebuilding the nation. He was, at his core, a peasant. He understood the struggles of the common people because he had lived them. His policies were practical, pro-agricultural, and designed to restore stability. He initiated a massive land reclamation project, offering tax exemptions and seeds to anyone willing to cultivate fallow ground. He ordered the planting of millions of trees. He initiated a comprehensive land survey and population census, called the Yellow Registers, to ensure taxes were collected fairly, preventing the wealthy from hiding their land. He reformed the civil service, reinstating the rigorous Confucian examination system to recruit officials based on merit, not birth. He built schools across the empire, believing education was key to a stable society. He was deeply distrustful of the educated scholar officials he relied on, but he knew he could not govern without them. But the trauma of his youth had left permanent scars. The Hongwu Emperor was brilliant, but he was also deeply suspicious, mistrustful, and at times incredibly harsh. He saw plots and corruption everywhere. Having fought his way to the top, he was obsessed with the fear of losing what he had built. This paranoia led to one of the darkest chapters of his reign. He sought to centralize all power in his own hands. In 1380, suspecting his longtime chancellor, Hongwu Emperor, of plotting a rebellion, the emperor had him and his entire family executed. This was not enough. The emperor used the alleged plot as a pretext to launch a sweeping, brutal purge of the government. He abolished the position of chancellor entirely, effectively becoming his own prime minister. The purge widened, lasting for over a decade. Anyone with even a distant connection to the accused or anyone the emperor simply distrusted was targeted. It is estimated that tens of thousands of people, mostly from the educated and official class, were executed in this campaign against perceived corruption and treason. It was a stark contradiction. The emperor who did so much to help the common peasant also ruled with an iron fist, establishing a secret police force and creating a legacy of autocratic rule that would define his dynasty. The Hongwu Emperor ruled for 30 years. He died in 1398, leaving behind a united, stable, and prosperous China. He had risen from the lowest possible station in life to the very highest, a feat almost unparalleled in human history. His legacy is complex. He was a visionary reformer, a brilliant strategist, and a populist leader who genuinely cared for the poor. He was also a ruthless autocrat whose paranoia led to terrible violence. He was a man forged in suffering, who used his power to ensure no one could ever make him suffer again. He was, in every sense, the founder of the brilliant Ming.
What story do you want us to cover next? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment.